Hey, I'm Sarah, just sharing another one of my very amateur garden updates. I've been propagating some pumpkin seeds, actually from a pumpkin that we grew last season. I've just been growing them in little inners of toilet rolls, as you do, inside, and they're getting a bit big. I've got some of my spinach in my little mini greenhouse here that I'm fairly certain they can handle if there's going to be one or two more frosts. So I'm going to plant them out in the garden, and I'm going to put my pumpkins in the slightly bigger pots. I'm just going to chuck these in here where I've already still got some of my older spinach still growing. Got my radishes over here, which are doing quite nicely. As you will see, I've just been driving round and round and round our paddock for very good reason. Now we're wanting to get pigs again. However, we discovered last time when we had pigs, you've got to feed them, obviously. Unless you've got a really good reliable source of food scrap. Buying the barley in and soaking it and all that, that was great for the pigs, they loved it. However, not cheap. So we're thinking potatoes. So we're experimenting. As you'll see, I've just been round and round on the tractor ploughing up that patch of land, and we've actually hired a rotary hoe for the weekend because we get really big clods of dirt, and it doesn't matter how much we plough it with our little plough behind the tractor, we still get these clods of dirt. So we're hoping the rotary hoe will break it up nicely so that we can actually plant potatoes and mound it up nicely. I've actually also got some more pumpkin seeds to plant, so what we don't plant out in potatoes, I'm going to put pumpkin seeds around, and that'll just help suppress the grass as well. So it's a bit of an experiment. That rotary hoe did an absolutely amazing job. So we're going to plant some potatoes. Got a whole heap with a nice big stalk on them there. If you've got some that have two stalks, you can chop them in half and plant one each. You want to plant them with the stalk side up. If you are chopping them in half, as I've said in a previous video, you do need to let them sit and dry first, which I have done with some of these. Now we've actually been and got some special veggie mix from a landscape supply place because our soil has not been great at producing stuff in the past. So what I'm actually going to do is for each potato, I'm going to dig a hole, put some of that good soil into it, bury the potato, and just mound it up with the stuff that's already on here. So fingers crossed, we'll see how we go. My mission today, as you may have seen, we've been planting some potatoes en masse. We planted about 100 of them. So we've got pretty much right from there, we've got a few rows, all down there, all these rows down here is all potatoes. And if by chance we don't end up getting pigs, I mean they store for absolutely ages. If you store them right, the locals will love us for it. So my plan for today though, because we've got so much of this paddock left, we've still got half a trailer of decent dirt. I'm going to have a go at planting corn. I've got some normal sweet corn, and also someone we know gave us some of this old heritage stuff that they tried. They've tried planting it themselves as well, and the second time around it didn't go so well, but they've given us this, so we'll just throw this in the ground and see what happens. I've also got a couple of different types of beetroot I want to plant, and the plan was actually to build another raised bed down by the house for beetroot. We just haven't got around to it. I'm just going to chuck it in the ground over here, see what happens, and hopefully rabbits don't eat it. We get a lot of hares, so fingers crossed. I'm going to do the corn first because obviously grows tallest. We don't want it shading the sun from things. So I'll do that down the end. Plant the gold stuff first. Okay, so I actually just saw something online this morning saying that ash from your fireplace, I knew you could put it like in your compost, but apparently it's really good just spread directly on your spinach and your garlic and your leeks, not your potatoes. So I'm going to avoid the potatoes, which is interesting because of course when I was planting my potatoes I was told that it's got a lot of potassium in it. That's kind of potash is where the word potassium comes from. You dip your potatoes in it while you're planting. I'm wondering if it's just the leaves that don't like it, that react badly. I'm not sure. But anyway, I've still got a bucket of ash from our fireplace there, so I'm just going to spread that around my leeks and my spinach and my garlic. So they're all doing pretty well anyway, but I do want to show you something else really cool. This makes me so happy. Not only do I have another lovely head of broccoli growing there, but for the first time ever, I'm actually successfully, look at that, cauliflower, yay! As I've said previously, once you pick broccoli, leave the plant. I picked the head off that broccoli, you leave the plant there and it starts growing all these little offshoots. You can still eat the leaves. I chop the leaves up and use them in cooking. I snip all these little offshoots and they just keep growing. So unless you're going to use that patch for something else, don't worry about it. 2 lettuces there looking gorgeous next to them too. And leek and potato soup for dinner tonight. Oh yeah. Okay, had some very on and off weather lately. Unfortunately, you'll have saw I planted my pumpkins. I think they're dying. Here's what happened. I planted them out around Labour weekend, which is traditionally in New Zealand. That's late October. It's when you start planting things. You put things in the garden because the weather's pretty much guaranteed to be nice from there on in. The week after Labour weekend it snowed. It actually snowed. It was crazy. So spoiler alert, pumpkins don't like the snow. Especially not little ones. They might still be hanging in there, so fingers crossed, but we'll just have to see how they go. My potatoes, however, I had a few of them starting to sprout up like this. Some of them got slightly brown crunchy leaves on them, but they're pretty resilient. They're still doing good. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go around and spot all the potatoes that are sticking up and literally bury them. Of course, typically, you know, I nicely mounded where I'd planted them, and they're actually springing up in between the mounds, but that's fine, whatever. The key is just to try and bury these, which I don't like doing. I like seeing them spring up, but if you bury them, you will get more potatoes. So there's your incentive. So that's just my plan for today. I showed you that broccoli head the other day. I actually harvested that, just cut it off there, and look, already we've had another shoot. That's why I leave these plants here. What I'm doing today is, because these, look at the size of that. Look, that's my hand. You just leave a few leaves on like that and just cut them about 3 to 4 centimetres below the head. Okay, I left way more leaves on than what I intended on. However, look at that. Look at the size of that. That is beautiful. Cauliflower cheese for dinner. I love that. I love it when I come out to the garden and I can figure out just by looking what's for dinner. These leaves and everything will get used. I'll grab my other one as well. Another one. Look at that. It's like the size of my head. It's bigger than my head. That is so cool. So another cool thing that I just noticed today, and that's that my radishes, they're pretty much ready for harvest. It's just up to you how big you want to let them go. I'm not going to grab any right now because I don't need any right now, but that's the cool thing about radishes. I literally just leave them in the ground until I need them and just let them go for it and they get bigger. And the leaves, they are great to use in a salad or sandwiches, whatever. Use them just like you would lettuces. Finally, took a while, but my carrots are finally springing up. Yay! My lettuces, wahey, they are looking awesome. So I've got a few things I'm going to plant out. I did, as you saw in my last video, I had a few things in my my good old deli counter greenhouse here. So we've got a couple of tomato plants that are doing really well that I'm going to plant out. I've got 4 tomatoes, and after I did my homemade Big Mac recipe video, I discovered I love gherkins. So I'm not going to go buying them, am I? I'm going to grow them. So I've got a couple of these on the go. Now I did have cucumbers, in my good old little greenhouse there. Unfortunately, we just had frosts that were way too cold for them to survive, and I failed. So maybe another year. I think it'll be a bit late now to be planting cucumbers out. These things here, I actually got them last year for my tomatoes to climb up, and I'll probably do the same thing this year. I just weaved some wool around them so they could kind of climb up, and it worked pretty well for the cherry tomato, so I might look at getting some more of these. We'll just see how we go. Chuck my gherkins on one of these, because they like to climb as well apparently. Something that I've just discovered, and that's I've been mounding up these potatoes like a good girl. Funny story, I had a bag of compost and I thought, oh, I'll just use that, and so I put some mounds of compost. While I was going through it, I found 2 pumpkin seedlings popping up from when I was transferring them into bigger pots. 2 hadn't sprung up, so I just chucked the handful of dirt that they were growing with in the compost, and they sprung up. So I've put them in the garden. Fingers crossed we might still get pumpkins. But you don't have to mound the potatoes up with dirt. You can just use either grass clippings or hay. So we've just been mowing the lawn, so we've got grass clippings, so that's my plan. So I'm actually going to harvest some of my leeks, because the ones in that veggie patch there are all still growing nicely. These ones, they've all started, they're getting these bauble tops on, they're all going to seed. I'm not too worried about collecting the seeds from these because they're not heritage variety or anything like that, but these ones all actually grew. I didn't plant these on purpose, they just sprung back from ones that I'd harvested from last year, and I obviously just left little end bits in. So they're all a bonus. So what I'm doing is I'm getting them all up, and because I'm not using them at an astronomical rate, I'm going to chop them up. I chop up most of it, I used most of these green bits as well, and I'm just going to freeze them. One thing that I'm going to have a go at, because somebody in my Facebook group was asking, you know, when they go to seed, obviously you got this nice bit that you can use, but they get this hard bit in the middle, kind of like a core. And a few people suggested, you know, peeling it and just using the outside bits. Some people said they just chop up that hard bit and use that in their cooking, which I have actually done before and it's fine. Somebody said she just likes to snack on them raw. It'd be rude not to try this, wouldn't it? It's not bad. I mean, it's spicy aftertaste. It's I suppose it's sort of just like eating raw onion. I mean, I don't know that I could fill up on that. I mean, it'd be quite nice chopped up really, really thin and put in like a Subway roll or a sandwich or something maybe. But yeah, I'll happily just chop that up, freeze it, use it in my cooking. Alright, apparently everyone now wants to try the raw centre of a leek. Go on then, have a bite.
It's actually yummy.
I mean, it's just kind of oniony, isn't it? I mean, yeah. It's like munching on raw onion.
It's like, it's
oh. Go on. Have a bite.
It tastes different from onion somehow, but it's just the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, leek
Can I just snap off a bit to eat later? I want to eat more.
You go for it. You can have some with your lunch. They all love it, love. They're all snapping off a bit to snack on. So that was a good haul of leeks. What I'm going to do in the patch that I've got left, I'm going to plant some more carrots, because of course I've got some growing in the other veggie patch there. But hopefully I'll be able to stagger them a bit, and also some more spring onions. My other ones further down the row here are sort of just starting to crop up. They're not going too quickly, but hey. But at least that way I can sort of stagger them and always have something growing. Today's plan, we have just moved this bath, which used to be used as a trough. What we've done is, I'm going to use this to plant my yams. So you don't want to plant your yams with all your other veggies because they totally take over. You need a separate spot. So, we've got some weed matting Under that we've got a wee layer of rocks. Of course the bath has a plug in it, so there is, you know, so there's a bit of drainage. So we're just going to fill this up with some veggie mix. I've heard mixed things about how deep to plant yams. Some people say about 15 centimetres deep, some people say about 5 centimetres deep. So I'm probably just going to vary it. I may or may not have left my yams a little bit long in the pantry. These are from ones that I grew last year that I left to sprout. So they are well past needing to be planted, so I'm hoping they'll be alright. Okay, so quite a bit going on in this video, but it's that time of year when everything just seems to happen and it starts coming together. Look, give it a go, guys. Seriously, with the way the economy is and everything, prices are going through the roof. Even if you don't have a big space like we do, just if you plant one potato in a bucket with drainage, in a few months time you'll get 6 potatoes from that one. So, you know, if you just kind of think of that as a guide, you know, line up some pots, put a potato in each. You can grow potatoes in cardboard boxes. So yeah, even if you've only got a little ornamental garden, use pots, your leafy greens, your spinach, your radishes. You don't need much space at all. So I think at the moment it's really important. Every little bit counts. Hopefully I'm inspiring some people to have a crack at it. Obviously I'm no professional. Hit like, leave me a comment down below, hit subscribe, hit me up with any tips you've got, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.